I am Negan.
I am Negan.
I am Negan.
What's up, people? Welcome back to I Am Negan, a TWD Universe podcast. My name is Adam Vale, senior editor over at thekoalition.com, and I'm joined by editor-in-chief of the Koalition, Richard Bailey Jr.
What's up, Adam? What's up, listeners and viewers?
And Throwdown Show over on Twitch and here on YouTube, Carlos Romero.
So is the new hot topic going to be one bear versus 100 walkers?
Man, fair fight. Oh man, that we'll get into it, but yeah, that was pretty cool. It would have been great if we saw some other animals just scattered around Central Park that have escaped, and just throughout the entire season. I mean, we're on episode 6 here, so just for you, let's just get into it. This is a Walking Dead City season 2 episode 6. Good bridge partners are hard to find these days. Horrible title, but hey, this is what they wanted to go with. But yeah, I mean, there is a zoo in Central Park. A bear, okay, that's fine, but a zombie bear, that's really cool. But what about some other things? It would have been great to see a lion and other stuff just scattered around randomly, just pulling people away, and then leading up to this big monster of a zombie bear attack. That would have been cool. But I'm glad we got it anyway, right? That was interesting.
Yeah, and I guess part of the conversation, and maybe it was probably not super obvious to me, but was it a zombie bear? I don't know.
It looked like it was a zombie bear, like the eyes and stuff. It didn't look like
one eye was missing.
Yeah, one eye's missing. You have to assume at this point it was not finding any fresh food in the park. It would have killed the kids, right? That's the freshest thing roaming around Central Park, because you have all the kids in the boathouse in that little gated area, and then outside of that, we know it's all the walkers, because that's where that crew would send all their dead. And now that they're navigating back and forth, I'm sure the bear is just roaming around, and we didn't see any other wildlife. We didn't see deer and those type of things, anything big for it to hunt. So I'm assuming it died, it turned, and it roamed. So that was it. But hey, let's get into it. That was a cool. I'll just start off right now. So far, out of all the episodes, this has been the best one. Which is good, but then not so good, because we're in episode 6 here. It's only 2 more episodes after this, and the season's done. There was a lot of action here. There was a lot of Fear the Walking Dead type moments of things that don't make sense happening. It was like, and we'll get into that. And I'm sure those who have watched it over on AMC, if you're watching this right after over on AMC, or if you have it on AMC Plus, it's already there. You can watch it there. Then you know what we're talking about. But yeah, let's just get into this episode. All right, so it starts off. Here we go. Another, this is what I was calling the Fear of the Walking Dead moment, where things happen off camera that we're like, oh, I guess that happened. And that's with Budgal capturing Maggie and Marshall, and, Herschel and Jenny, and just finding them in the park. And he explains, oh, yeah, we went looking all around the park. We found all kinds of things here, and we checked everywhere. And there you were in a boathouse. Who would have guessed it? What? Why? That's not where they were going at the end of the last episode, but I don't know. It's one of the things that we used to always talk about with Fear, right? Where things when they would pop up and they would just say, oh, we had this big battle and all this stuff happened, and you guys went to the left and we went to the right. It would have been great to see that. This in particular would have made sense, because that's not where they were going. That's not what we found out before from the last episode. This was not. So why were they back at the park? There's nothing there for them. We already saw what happened there. She was being hanged. So it doesn't add up. But the other part that doesn't really add up, and I'm just going to bring it up now, because what we saw at the end of the episode of who Budgal had with him, who was a walker, we didn't see that person here, right? You know what I mean? It wasn't like I didn't see anyone with a bag over their head that he was hiding. It was just all Bruegel's crew and Maggie's crew, right?
Yeah, and I mean, if you think about it, logistics wise, the Bruegel and his crew are in the museum that's right next to Central Park, and Maggie and the crew are in the boathouse by Central Park. So they're technically not that far away. So it makes
No.
sense logistics wise. Yeah, I did not see the major anywhere other than the last scene or one of the penultimate scene with the
Yeah.
marshal. So yeah, I never saw her, so I was quite surprised when we found out at the end who that was. So yeah.
Yeah. I get it. They're just trying to progress the story and go in that direction, but it's a hole. It's a hole because you're trying to do the timing in your head. It's like, all right, I saw this, I saw the hanging, I saw them escape, they running out, and then we saw that the end with Bruegel showing up with all his crew, but it was already after the fact. So whatever, it's done. So anyway, as they're walking back to go to the museum, we see one of the Bruegel's one of the women, part of the group, Bruegel's crew. She hears something. She walks over to it. It's like a fencing or something out in the brush, and it's like a growl. And then he just grabs her by the legs, pulls her under, and she's gone. Right? Cue the intro. Right there, we're already thinking monster, super mutated monster, but then maybe a tiger, right? Or and we even guess maybe a bear, but who knows? No, but then after the intro, we get to see what's going on with Croat and Negan. Croat is still distraught over the whole thing. I'm still trying to figure this out. Is he just, at this point, at least, is he just playing along with the story? Because we know he really didn't care. But it seems here like, is he really remorseful about the whole thing with Dama? Or is he just putting on an act because he's scared that Negan is going to second guess him or blame him for it and attack him? What do you think?
I would say he is remorseful because we saw what happened in the previous episode where he said he tried to save her, but he did not want to get caught up in that fire. And obviously, we know from that same episode in how she was interacting with Bruegel previously, he was very emotional, very he didn't want to do nothing to upset her, even though he was angry in the last episode. But obviously, he didn't want nothing bad to happen to her, but it happened anyway. So I'm pretty sure he did feel a little bit remorseful because he did say he thought it was his fault. That's what I got out of the conversations with him and Negan.
Yeah, I mean, she was his sort of motivation to it in a sense. I mean, we sort of learned later on how Negan talked about how the Dama manipulated people, and it looks like she obviously manipulated the Croat. But it's just one of those things where someone does something, they've been piping up all this frustration, and it blows up almost literally there. And there's always regret. Always comes regret when it comes to that.
Yeah, I guess that's what I was just trying to figure out, because then at that point Negan didn't even care because he was already saying like, well, what about me? And Croat wants to say, well, the plan is still to prepare for New Babylon, and we find out they bring up again about the second wave. Who's in charge of this second wave? We didn't see a second wave. We didn't hear when Governor Bird was alive that there was a second wave planned. I have no idea where they're getting this. This is just something just made up right now, because we had from the previous 5 episodes, there was no mention of a second wave. The Major never said, hey, let's hold ground here until second wave shows up. You would think that would be the logical thing to say.
Yeah, so that's a great question. And let me go ahead and just answer that question right now. This goes to show the incompetence of the group that Negan is involved with, because you saw in this episode how Bruegel took it upon himself after he saw what happened with Maggie's group. He still went to go meet up with them, and he was the one that was talking with them. So he actually went to investigate the situation to see it's not that many of them, whereas everyone else on the other side, they assumed there was going to be some reinforcements after they did that all that stuff with the boats. Without doing any research, even though they have somebody in Herschel who can tell them how many people there actually are. So it makes no sense whatsoever.
No. And then I was just thinking about it now because I was looking at my notes. I didn't want to jump ahead, but then I was like, wait a minute. They did mention, at least Bruegel did, about the second wave, and that was some info that he got from the Major. But the Major never brought that up. The Major never told the Marshal, never said anything about, hey, let's go back toward the beachfront. Let's go, and that way we can set a flare or something and let the second wave know that we're still alive. No, there was never any mention of that.
I think we can put it to bed. The Major is in the Mount Rushmore of worst characters in the Walking Dead universe. And there's just no way. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There was literally no redeeming qualities about this character.
Yes. and since you have said that, Carlos, I would like to also add a nomination to that list as well, and that is Herschel. And we will get into later why I have that. I have that nomination.
Yeah. All right. So, in the last part of that little scene here, Croat says, "Hey, by the way, Annie and Josh, Negan's family, they're showing up tomorrow. They'll be here tomorrow." You know, because really what Negan wants to know is like, can I go? I fulfilled my part of the bargain. Here we go. We got the Kristoff thing situated in a weird way. You killed them. You know, everybody, there goes that. But you got the other crew. You got Bruegel. As far as they know, Bruegel is on board. And he was like, yeah, your family's coming. He was like, all right, there goes that. So then we get back to the museum. We see that Maggie's there and she's talking to Jenny and everyone just basically telling them that, and Marshall, don't trust Bruegel. Bruegel is working with the Croat. So we can't trust them. And that also throws things off with all of this because it's like, yeah, whether he's working with them or not, it's still not a good situation for anyone here. So it doesn't matter at that point. He's not a friend, but then he does try to pull it off because he's like, hey, let's talk. And he shows them there at the museum. We see that nice scene with the table and all this stuff. And he says, you're free to go. You don't even have to stay here. You know, you can have some good rat meat. We got some great rat meat. Have some drinks. You know, we could just, talk about life. But he's trying to befriend them. And this, again, makes no sense because you have a crew, you have an army, or it seems like he does, of people, because he's got this big museum and we see a bunch of people gathered around. They don't really talk much, but they're there. And he was like, hey, I want you guys to help with me taking over getting rid of the Croat and getting rid of Negan, right? You want that, and we want to get control of everything. In exchange, you'll get your methane. So Marshall is all for it because then he's like, yeah, we need it. And Bruegel goes into this whole story about colonization and the pros and the cons of it. And he gets what New Babylon is trying to accomplish, but even that doesn't make much sense because like we just said, we haven't seen any other hierarchy of power besides Governor Bird. So right now, from us, the viewers, the standpoint, Marshall is the top of the food chain. So he's the governor now. He's the president. He's whatever. But it doesn't matter because then we got Maggie still saying she wants to go back to the bricks. I guess Jersey, right? Brick City. I don't know where this bricks is, but that's where she wants to go back. And she invites Jenny. She was like telling Jenny, like, come on, we can go back. You can come with us. I thought she was already with her. Right? Wasn't that the whole thing? Wasn't she already, once the Negan situation fell apart, didn't Negan say, just take care of Jenny?
Yeah, but I mean, Jenny was always sort of like a rogue agent. Like she was always on her own. She was still Jenny from the block. She wasn't going to the
Jenny from the block. Yeah. So that's breaking that whole thing. And then the Marshal, the fact that he's still pushing on this, he was like, oh, this is great for New Babylon. We have to do this. And then out of nowhere, Maggie was first she's saying, we want to leave. She was like, you know what? Forget it. We're not doing this. We're going to go, Herschel and I, and we'll see if convince Jenny, whatever. And we don't need Bruegel because we know what Bruegel's going to do and all this. And then she's out of nowhere, she flips it. She's like, you know what? Let's cut Bruegel out. Let's just go, us four, and take over the Croat's crew and all these people and Negan and all this stuff. And then that way we cut them out. And then he looks at like, now you're going to put everybody in danger? Oh, wait, what? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. Right? That what kind of plan is that? You have Bruegel with his army to go and fight this other, who knows how many people for Croat. Or just, 2 adults and 2 kids go fight everyone. Does that?
Oh yeah, it makes no sense whatsoever. Obviously, she's trying to spare Negan, and that is the whole reason why she says, "Oh, we can do this. We don't want," because Bruegel did say, "We'll slaughter everybody. We'll take out Negan, everybody," and as she said, no. She's trying to say no. We'll do it instead, just so she can spare Negan.
Yeah, and even the marshal got a little bit jealous. He's like, well,
oh yeah. Well, real quick, he's doing that line. He's like, we can sleep on it, It's like,
yeah. He wasn't too fond of that idea either. But it looks like Maggie's had a change of heart in the past couple of episodes.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. From what she's been saying, like we just brought up, just want to leave, right? Just a few minutes before this scene, she was telling Jenny and Marshall and Herschel, we're leaving, we're going to the bricks, we're leaving, we're getting out of here. And then now you're going to put everyone in danger? Like, does she really think she's Rambo? That she could just roll in there? It's like, fine, I'll do it myself. I don't trust Bruegel. Let's just do it ourselves. Let's just be fine. No, it doesn't make any sense. Just take everybody and go. Just take the kids and go. That's it. Just get out of there. Bruegel said it, and I think he was honest about it. He was going to let her leave because even as we saw in the end, he didn't say we need to hunt them down and get them involved. He was like, well, it looks like they bounced. So anyway, now we cut back to Negan. Again, they're really dwelling on this whole thing with Croat and how he feels about Dama's death because we see he's having a panic attack now. In a robot. I'm like, what? How long are they going to go with this? And he's basically saying he doesn't know what to do. He's alone. And I don't know if he's trying to play off and try to get some sympathy from Negan. Like, don't you see? I'm going to be alone. I can't do this by myself. I need your help. I need you to stay with me. It's like, I wasn't buying any of that, but he just kept pushing on it, that he's scared about everything that's going on. Did that make any sense? Like they had to bring the scene up again. Didn't we just have this moment?
Yeah, it looks like it was more, it's just another, iteration of that same thing. It's like, oh, he's really distraught, and it's sort of him trying to like showing that he's spiraling and, eventually going to create a vacuum for power for Negan to fill up.
Yeah, and they also did that to create to continue to show you that he was suspicious of what was going to happen with Negan, and Negan was going to reveal to him that he was involved in this in some way. That's the whole reason why they kept the tension with that. They were trying to build suspense because we knew at some point he was going to find out he did play a role in killing that rat. So that's what that was all about.
Yeah, so we'll get into that, and then one of the other things I wrote off that during that whole segment that we just talking about, where Maggie's like volunteering everybody just to go, well, the kids and herself and Marshall to go do this final battle there. She doesn't say anything about Negan, like pretty much like she's gonna not kill him, but get everyone else out. But then you see Jenny hear this and she storms off like, I just want to kill him. It's like, oh boy, here we go. But this is a big scene here because now we head back to Negan and Croat. Right, and now they're still discussing all the stuff. Croat's smoking a cigarette. Negan asks him if there's anywhere you would go besides here. Where would you go? And he gives this lame excuse. Oh, I told you my boat crashed here. That was the only boat in Manhattan. You're telling me there's no other boat? I'm telling you, go to South Seaport. You can go further up on the west side. There are plenty of boats. You can find a boat. You can get a rowboat. Do something.
Don't give me this Staten Island ferries.
Yeah, well, those are big, massive monsters. But either but there are little dinghies attached to it. Release one of the dinghies. Anyway, the point is, he gives that lame excuse of one boat. All right, fine. But then he says, you know what? I want to go back to Croatia. Understandable. That's where he's from. Mrs. Family stuff. Talks about how beautiful it is. Don't know how beautiful it is now. World fell apart. Who knows? You get off the boat and you're greeted by a bunch of walkers. Congrats, you're home, and then you die. So he goes on the whole thing. He starts telling Negan, hey, you can come along too. Bring your family. We all go. Croatia's beautiful. And Negan's just sitting on the floor now, and he's got his legs, propped up. And sure enough, Croat sees something. What does he see? He sees rat guts under Negan's shoe. You called it. You called it. Somebody called it. I don't know if it was Rich or Carlos. Who called it that he was going to find out that way?
I think we all knew he was going to find out at some point. Yeah, we all knew that.
Yeah. So they get up, they go into the other room, and then he starts talking about this Croat, and you know what? You did this. Because they're at the church. You plant these seeds in my head about the rat. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then I guess that's when Negan realizes it, but it's a little bit too late because then Croat grabs LV2, that's Lucille, turns it on. It's got the taser part, and he is just trying to tase Negan. Coming at him, he's swinging at him and stuff. Pretty cool. Wasn't expecting anything crazy to happen, but hey, I could see something kind of nuts going on where, let's say he did tase Negan, put him in the cell, and then Negan's in the cell when Bruegel attacks and it's an all-out war. Maybe they did something like that. So I was thinking already ahead that maybe that's where they were going with this. But they didn't, thankfully. He's swinging wildly, but he's not good at this. Negan grabs the bat away, pushes him down. I thought he was going to start striking him, but he doesn't. He feels bad. Pretty much because Negan blames himself. He was like, who are you? You are the way you are because of me. Everything you're doing is me. It's all my fault. I'm sorry. That type of deal. He's feeling really guilty about everything now. He's reflecting on all of this, and he goes into deeper reflection later on when he starts talking to, I think it was Maggie about all this stuff. But he just feels bad for everything that's going on with Croat, and he said it. He said, "Hey, I freed you. Dama, she didn't care about you. She didn't care about me. She didn't care about anybody. I just freed you. So you know what? You're free. Get out. Don't come back." And this is the funny part, and we all brought this up. There's all these people in that church that have been followers of Dama's crew, Croats, the whole crew system. Negan's pretty much the new one. But I guess they're all willing to follow him because no one came to help Croat. No one said, oh man, our boss is getting whooped. Maybe we should step in. Nope. They don't. No one cares. They let it happen. And they're very quiet, very polite about it. No one's screaming, talking out of line, letting this go. It would have been great if somebody was like, no, Croat, come on. And then you just whacks him in the head. Anybody else? Anybody? Just throw some of that. That would have been cool. And then they're like, all right, no, we're all bend the knee. This is it. We're in church. You are our new pastor, Negan. And Croat just walks out. And again, there's no one walks out with him. So it's not like there was much loyalty toward him. And from what we saw in season 1, we thought he was the boss, right? He was in charge. Everybody was scared and they were listening to him and following all his orders. Yes, Croat, doing all this stuff. Then at the end of the season, we saw Dama was really pulling all the strings. But here, now, at this moment, it sort of seems like, no, that wasn't the case. They didn't even respect him. No one cared. They just let him go. And they're like, well, we're just going to stay here with Negan in the church and see how far this goes. So what did you guys think of that whole scene? Rich?
Well, I thought it was absolutely horrible, in my opinion.
What?
What
you didn't like? Go for it.
I don't like the idea that the Croat can go toe-to-toe with Negan. Negan is much more powerful than this old guy. So obviously when they had the scene where he grabbed the bat from him and he started beating him, say, yeah, that's exactly what I would expect because Negan is bigger than him. And, but again, I know they played it up with the whole thing of that. Yeah, Negan, everything that the Croat did, he said it was a reflection of what Negan put into him. So I understand that and him letting him go. But I wasn't didn't in any way think Negan was in any trouble when Croat grabbed that bat and started swinging it. I'm like, yeah, what is this? Come on, guys. We already know Negan will beat the hell out of this guy. So I laughed when I saw that. Mm-hmm. But I understand what they were doing. And yeah, he lets the Croat go, but obviously there are still 2 episodes to left to go. So we'll see if the Croat shows up again before the show is over with.
Yeah.
I do agree with Rich's views on this, even though I don't see it as harshly as he does. But yeah, I mean, let's get real. Negan would have overtaken him much quicker than they made it seem like.
Well, I think that's why they showed that part of Croat turning on LV2 for the taser. Because power wise, no, he's not gonna be able to swing that bat hard enough to do any real damage. But if he can get the front part of it to tase Negan, he can, that can shock him, that can pull him down.
I mean, but it never shocked him.
No, he's not a good shot, and he wasn't doing it right. That's the thing. You turn on to tase at the tip of the bat, but you're now swinging it like a bat. That's not no. That's not how that works. You're supposed to go to tase, like jab, 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 jab. But no, he wasn't doing it.
Now the interesting thing, I mean, the most interesting thing probably in this whole series right now is what is the Croat gonna do now? He's not long gone. He's not going to Koalition anytime soon. Something's gonna happen.
I know, but go ahead, Rich.
I believe I know the answer to that question, Carlos. They have shifted everything where now Budgal is the enemy. We know that the Croat doesn't like Budgal, so he'll probably come up and help Negan defeat Budgal by the time the season is over. I think that's where they're going with this. But that's the only way I could think they could use him, because there's no other reason for him now on this show.
Wait, you said you think Croat's going to come back to help Negan go against Budgal?
Oh, absolutely. They'll have something where Negan needs some assistance at the last minute, and then you'll have Croat come in there and deliver some final blow or something to Budgal and shut him down. But I think that's because, again, they made a very big deal about how he didn't like Budgal when they had the whole interaction with him. He didn't like how Budgal was talking to Dama and all this other stuff. So I kind of feel like if he is going to be useful now, it's going to be to come back and stop Budgal, to help Negan stop Budgal.
I don't know. In my head, I kept thinking of the movie 300. Remember when the one guy that got kicked out, he had the deformity, gets kicked out of the army, the Spartan crew, and then he decides to turn on them, and he tells the Persians what the plan is. That's what I pictured here. He gets kicked out, doesn't know, he's going to go to Budgal and says, hey, I'll help you. I'll work with you with the methane and all this stuff because I'm the mastermind. I'll help you get rid of Negan. That's what I'm thinking that he's going to.
That would be a much better twist. But I don't know. I don't know if they are going to think that smartly about it. They may just say, "Oh, well, just have him help out, take Budgal down," because apparently now they want Budgal to be the big bad for the rest of this show.
We've talked about the actor, and he's doing a good job. He's delivering the lines. He has a great look. The whole character design of this, I'm all for it. I can see it. We get into a little later. It could be all talk. He could be just a con artist, but he makes it seem like he was a man of influence, power before the fall. He talks about Warren Buffett teaching him how to play bridge. It's kind of random, but whatever. Mm-hmm. It could be all talk. But anyway, let's get into the next part. At first, I was like, oh, nothing really memorable happened in this scene, but I was like, oh wait, no, something did. There's a few things that did. This is a part where Maggie, we see that Jenny's in the bathroom cleaning her wound, and then Maggie comes in and just starts talking to her about, we're going to go back to Bricks. You should come, and so doing that whole thing, trying to smooth things over. But the reason why I find this as an important scene is because we're looking at this wound. It can't be a bite, right? It's been too long. Or do you think it is a bite and it's just taking a while for her to turn?
Well, we saw that it was she hit herself in something. It wasn't a zombie or a walker that took her. So I don't know. Like it maybe, I don't know, maybe it got infected somehow. I doubt it. I think she's just really sick because of there's an infection or something on that.
Well, that's it. You would think Maggie would be like, we need to get this treated. We've seen her before. Remember, her dad was an animal veterinarian. Remember, that was the whole thing. They knew how to treat animals and all kinds of stuff. And we've seen her on Walking Dead proper, bandage people up and stuff. She doesn't even address that. Like, she walks into the bathroom and sees what Jenny's doing, and it's like, by the way, you want to come back with us, Bricks? And I see a lot of myself in you. And I instantly said, no, I don't see that. I see a lot of Maggie's sister, who wasn't, mentally all there, as we all know. We all remember what she did. And that's where that famous line from Carol is like, look at the flowers. Remember? Look at the flowers, because her sister went nuts. Maggie's sister went crazy. So I see some of that in this because we don't know much about what's going on with Jenny in her mind. She's been quiet for the majority of the season. She was always quiet, even when we were introduced to her in season 1. We find out because she's traumatized, her dad, all this stuff. I get it. It's a horrible time, especially if you're a kid. You don't know how to feel about this. But in this situation, they focus on showing Jenny cleaning this wound. And whenever they do that, this show at least, it's like saying, pay attention. Pay attention. Something is going to happen here. And for us to see this, and it's not like she was hiding it from Maggie. Maggie walked in and clearly saw it. It wasn't like, she's covering it up. No, she sees what she's doing and doesn't offer to help or anything. Instead, just talking about, I want you to come with us. That's why I'm just not sure if this is a bite or if, just like you said, Carlos, maybe just a serious infection. If that's the case, and ask if Bruegel has any antibiotics or something. Or maybe it's just me. Did you pick any of that stuff up, or you're like, oh, this is just another filler scene?
I do want to make a comment on this. I'm gonna wait until later on when you get towards the end of the episode, because I think I know where they're going with that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then, let's go back. We go back to Negan at the church. Now he's sitting around. He's now feeling all down on himself. Gets stressed out, but he should be pretty happy or thinking of positive, because his wife and kid are about to show up, in a few hours, because I'm assuming it's at night. But he hears noises coming from the hallway. Really cool scene here. All his goons, they all went to sleep. They're tired. We don't get a lot of interaction with any of the background people. That's one thing I have noticed so far in this season. No chatter, no someone stepping up. They're all background. I can't put any kind of memory with a face. Like, even when we saw that one goon from Bruegel's crew that just got gobbled up, I paused it. Remember, I was like, are we supposed to know who this is? Nope, just somebody in the background, whatever. But he grabs one of the torches, goes exploring. We instantly thought it was Dama, right? Maybe she turned into a walker and he was going to have to set her on fire again, put her down. But no, it's the person we all forgot about. And it's Pierce, the historian. He's in a cell. Last time we saw him, he was in the trunk of a car. But Croat did say he had a permanent home for him soon. And this was it. It was a cell. So he's in there. He's all sad. Doesn't know what to do. He's scared. Negan says, don't worry about it. You're free. Free to go. He's like, yay, free to go. I can go. And then he thinks about it. He's like, I don't even know how to go home. I don't even know where to go. And then he starts talking about history. And then Negan goes into the whole story. He's like, I don't even understand history. I'm like, well, technically you should. You were a gym teacher. You worked in a school. I'm sure you had some friends that were the history teachers, social studies. Come on now. But he was like, no, I don't get it. And what's the point of all this? And history's written by those who are the victors. And he looks at him and he says, hey, we're winners though, right? Because this is it. We won. Now, my question to you guys, the fact that Pierce is still alive, do you think he's going to have a major role at all in this series or in this season at this point, Carlos?
Nah, I just think that he's going to take over the violin player's role to Negan in this series. I don't really see him, becoming the leader of the people or whatever. Is just, I think he's just going to be there for exposition.
Yeah. I agree 100% with Carlos. If the character isn't killed off by the time this season comes to an end, but otherwise he'll just be there in the background.
Because that's the thing. Even if he dies, I don't think anyone's going to care. It's not like those, or even like the violin guy. We sort of got some backstory, but it wasn't enough. He wasn't in the show overall enough for anyone to really care of his absence. Like, all right, fine, he dies. I'm pretty sure there's no one that was watching and was like, oh, and gasp, like, no, not him, not the fight. No. And that's the problem with this, right? It's like if you do these type of deaths, you want to have a connection. You want to build some kind of reaction from the audience. And we just have that right now, so I'm hoping he does play a role in some way. Who knows? Maybe they do a time jump if there is a season 3. And how do we know about all this? Because of Pierce. Because the only part of this scene that I gathered from this, any memorable moments from it, is that Negan does open up about his backstory. Talks about sanctuary. Talks about keeping his people safe. Talks about having to kill somebody in front of his people just to show that they are safe. Of course, we know that's the whole Daryl and what's his name? Benjamin. Remember when he smashed? I think that was his name, right? Was that his name, Benjamin? When he smashed both their heads?
I don't remember.
Oh Lord, I'm forgetting because it was not Daryl. My bad. I just said that Glenn. Sorry. Glenn. It was Glenn and I want to say it was Benjamin.
It's
Rosita.
the redhead dude.
Yeah, the redhead dude. Because remember, they both died. He killed both of them in that scene. But he starts talking about that and was he doing the right thing? And then that's it. So it was kind of cool that he opened up to the historian about this. So even though we didn't see him with a pen and paper just jotting it down, I'm sure he will if he survives and puts that in the note. And maybe that comes back later on. But anyway, this is where it gets really interesting. This is the key moment of this episode. So everybody's sleeping at the museum. Herschel wakes up, says, hey, everybody's sleeping. Let me go wander around. So he goes out, he has his cantina. He goes up to some walkers that are still tied up in that big open hall area. Now, I know that Bruegel had those walkers for his walker battles with his champion, but the champion's dead. So I'm still not sure why he has a bunch of these walkers in his place, just hanging around there, chained up, but whatever. Herschel starts stabbing them, putting some of their walker guts in his canteen. Right. And while he's doing all this, he goes to the corner, he's dealing with some stuff, and then Maggie sees him. What are you doing? And he's like, well, no, nothing. And then he takes canteen and he pours it out. You see all the gook coming out. And he was like, I'm leaving. And he's like, well, where are you going? Why are you going after Dama again? It's like it's back and forth about it. And he just starts throwing all this stuff about how you're never really there for me. And, the woe is me type of thing. I'm not buying any of that. I can't imagine that a kid growing up in this world, this is all he knows. I can understand if someone is from our time that saw the fall and it's like, I remember the way things used to be. This is all he knows. If this is all he knows, and then he knows that his mom has been there since day one, keeping him safe. This doesn't make any sense that this older lady just comes out of nowhere and just completely brainwashes him, that he can just void out everything that his mom did for him to keep him alive to this age. What he's like 16, right? Something like that, like 15, 16 years old. No, I'm not buying it. And for them to put this part, and I know it's like, well, teenagers go through moods. Not in this type of situation. I can't see that. I can't. Because he's like, oh, everything that you did with Negan and what he did and all that stuff, and you still let him go, and he's still playing off of that. That makes no sense either, because he also let him go. Remember? In Mothership, when he had the gun pointed at Negan, and Negan said, I understand it. Do what you have to do. And he didn't do it. That was one. We get it. And this season, he did have a gun pointed at Negan again. Bad shot, right? Over in the park. Okay, I get it. But still, why all this anger toward your mom if she has been keeping you alive? Anybody else bothered by this? And also in the comments, if you read it, are you bothered by it? Do you like this story with Herschel? But yeah, anybody?
You're preaching to the choir here. I mean, I've been a day one Herschel hater since this series started. I mean, when not the Mothership one, but Dead City. He is not likable. I mean, I've said this ad nauseum in previous episodes. I just don't like the way the character is. He seems like I get it, broody teenager. It's he's going through his emotions and stuff. Maybe that's what they're trying to convey, but man, he is annoying as hell. I mean, he pushed his mom. What the hell?
Yeah, pushing her and stuff. It's like, come on, man. And she almost got hung. He saw that. And then he was reacting in the last episode. Remember? So then, as if that didn't even happen. Like, oh wow, I almost lost my mom. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with everything Carlos said. He is by far the most annoying character on this entire show. I think personally he is at a point of no return. So when this season ends, either this character needs to get killed off or Maggie should just cut him off completely and let him go his separate ways. Because the whole point, the importance of that scene with him cutting the blood is that he was intending to poison everybody that was going to drink from that well where they had the water at.
Yeah.
And that's what we learned about when he had the back and forth conversation with her, where he basically has the mindset where he wants to get rid of these people and he's trying to preserve and save what's left of New York City, like Dama wants him to save. So this character is the point of no return. So this cannot be a happy ending for him and Maggie by the end of the season. They need to either he gets killed off or he gets separated from her completely. They have to come to a decision with that.
And like I mentioned in the previous, I think it was a previous episode, he gave this whole speech about how it's like, oh well, the previous life doesn't seem that much better than things are today because all the violence and stuff that went on, and I'm like, then why the hell are you acting like shit is bad right now? I mean, if you're, it's like you're acting like there's no redeeming qualities of your mom or anyone that you're with, and you're going to like it's the whole thing with the Dom. It's like it's not portrayed in a way that's believable. It's like yeah, she's a master manipulator and a habitual liar too, but I don't really get it.
No, don't get it. But you know what I do get? Zombie bear. That strikes the fear in everyone's hearts because that's the next scene here. He goes to take off down another hallway. And granted, again, everybody's sleeping. Okay, we got Marshall and Jenny. They're having their third dream. They're in deep sleep.
The melatonin came into effect this episode.
That's it. Yeah, it was some. Yep. That must have been some good rat. They definitely must have had some real good rat. Just filled them up, like turkey. And then everyone else from Bruegel's part, they're all, again, museums are huge. I get that. So if we just use our imagination, let's just say that they're on the other floor, the other wing of the museum. And I've been to that museum multiple times. So yeah, it's massive. It's possible that you don't hear anything, but if it's dead silent, and as you see in this scene where they go down a hallway and they hear something growling, and then it's a big zombie bear coming. Herschel takes off one way, Maggie takes off. This thing is chasing her. You would think with all that noise that someone would hear it, but they don't. And so she goes into the main hall where all the walkers are. She starts breaking the chains, freeing them up, so that now hopefully they could get in the way. Sure enough, it does. It would have been cool to see some like. We did get to see some zombie guts here, but it would have been cool to just see. And I guess the special effects, it just would have been too hard to do or too expensive to see it grab this bear grab one of them, just like or like rip off heads and arms, and like tossing them around. That would have been awesome. But either way, he does. The grizzly makes his quick work of these walkers and keeps going after Maggie. Sort of corners her. Carlos, you pointed out there's all these weapons, but Maggie doesn't know how to use any of these things. She's just throwing things at it, and there
was a lot of weapons, and she somehow missed on all of them. I understand it's a bear. But what I've done, and here's just me just thinking out loud. I would have used the walkers. I would have behind the walkers. I would have done the whole behind the walker. I'm gonna put on a spear behind them to get to the bear. Let's try some of that. Maggie should know. I mean, she's a veteran. She was on Mothership. She's probably the longest running character here, other than Daryl and Carol and.
Oh yeah, she definitely is.
She should know the tricks to the trade, even when it comes to the zombie bears.
But she doesn't. She panics. You know, she's in the moment. This is it. Is she gonna die? Hey, anything's possible because we only care about Negan, so we'd be okay with it. You know, pour one out for Maggie if that's the case. But no, it's not going to end this way. So there's a balcony. This is a second story, and then we see that as the bear's getting closer to Maggie, it's getting stabbed. Someone's throwing knives from the top, and it's Herschel. And Herschel catches one. What is it? The bear gets one in the eye, then gets another one stuck. And then there's like a fencing that's there. And when it falls face first, it lands right on the fence. It's dead. There we go. Zombie bear gone. Okay. It is what it is. It was cool. I still like Zombie Bear. This was something new. And that's what we want, right? We want to see some new things pop up. Maggie goes looking for Herschel. He's taken off again. And she looks out. And what was it? You noticed that scene because I was typing stuff up. You saw a sign for Radio City.
Oh, before that, can I mention something?
Yep.
When it comes to Herschel, hitting the bear with impeccable accuracy, we did see at the beginning of the season him, missing all the training. He was aiming. I forgot what he was aiming at. It was probably a deer or something, and he kept missing. But shout out to Herschel. Looks like he did his kunai training at the Three Ninjas camp.
Yep. So, good shot. He was a great shot. But then again, let's say a bear is a big target.
A bear's a big target, but it was at night, and he did hit him on the one good eye.
On the one good eye.
I like to call him Zombie Bear. I like to call him One Eye Willie Bear.
One Eye Willie Bear. Okay.
And you got him in the eye. So shout out to Herschel.
Rich, you sound like you wanted to say something.
Let me just say this. It was cool to see the bear, but the execution of this particular sequence, very sloppy. First and foremost, you made mention, Adam, nobody hears anything. And my explanation for that is because AMC spent all the budget on that bear, so they couldn't have other people coming into the shot getting killed. So that's what it was.
Yeah, the extras were reading on the script. They're like, wait, are we in this scene? No, we're not. Wait, so I'm not getting paid this day? No.
Yeah, that was unrealistic. So that's one complaint. And then to go to what Carlos said about the perfect accuracy of Herschel, I was very annoyed about that because there was a previous episode where he could have shot Negan and he just completely missed Negan. So that's why I said, of course, convenient writing. Now, all of a sudden, because his mom is in danger, it's a perfect target. The bear is dead. Very unrealistic and very silly, but it is what it is. Continue.
Perfect segue when you talk about convenience, because here we go with the convenience that the Herschel takes off. But where does Maggie go? She goes to the church, and who does she see there? Negan, just hanging out in the pews, doing a whole lot of nothing, alone. How convenient. You would think this is their base of operations. They know they're getting ready for war, that there would be other people around. Again, just like Bruegel's crew, maybe everyone just, hey, 9:00, this bedtime. Are there shifts? No shifts. We all go to sleep at the same time. Man. She just walks in and he's just there, and he's like, "Oh wow, well." She's like, "Is Herschel here?" It's like, no, Herschel's not here. I'm here, but and then he gives a whole speech about Dama, and you can't blame the boy. Dama, she manipulates people, and that's what she does. But don't worry about that. She's dead. She got set on fire. So, there goes that. And then talking about his family, and he's going to see his family, but then is that even good? Should he stay or should he go with them? And, I'm sorry, I shouldn't be bringing up family stuff with you, Maggie. And of course, they're constantly calling back to the whole thing with Glenn, and I'm tired of it. How many times do we have to bring this up? Let's just let it go. It's done. We're already into a spin-off, and then what if there's another spin-off, which we know they said they plan on doing? If they bring some of these characters back, are they going to keep bringing this up? Oh, man.
Yes, Adam. They will keep bringing it up, and I also am on the same. I'm on the same. I agree with you 100% because I just don't like when Negan is talking about the fact that he's going to reunite with his wife and his kid. It's like Maggie wants to make him feel bad for that. oh, so you're going to get to go off with your kid and stuff, because she's still harboring anger about what happened and what he did with Glenn. So I'm tired of that as well. The back and forth is ridiculous.
And Negan has experienced loss, as we saw when during COVID. Remember, they did those extra episodes, and then we get to see that Lucille, who was his wife, and how she died and she turned, and that whole issue, and that's why he named the bat after her and all that. So basically, Maggie's not the only one that has experienced loss. But this is a dead story. We already know. Both of them know this. Negan's opened up to Maggie about all this stuff. So don't know. But the point is, he then says, you know what? The only other place that he could be is at the Francis Theater, right? That's what I think I wrote down here. The theater house, which is where Dama was living. He was like, that's the only other place I could think that's where he went. So she's gonna go and take off and hopefully find him there. Hopefully not. Hopefully that kid got lost in the big city and we don't have to see him again, because I am over that. But next day, daylight, everybody wakes up back at the museum. Right? Oh, what a great rest. Perfect sleep. Nothing happened. Oh, wow. What is this? All the walkers are dead. There's a big bear dead. You know, Marshall's looking at him. He was like, oh, he goes and wakes up Jenny, and they don't have their Folgers coffee or anything. He says, hey, I just got some bad news. Looks like Maggie and Herschel left. They left. Yeah, and we got this big bear, so I see what happened here. How did you not wake up? That he doesn't even bring that up. He doesn't even bring it up. Like, man, I can't believe they fought a bear. How did we miss that? Maybe we were drugged. You know, it's like, but whatever. So all right, let me see. Let's see some things. All right, so then while he's telling her all this, we get a quick scene, and this is a scene that upset all of us, because for the longest, right, we were like, oh, we're not going to see Anne or Josh. I'm sure a large majority. Go ahead in the comments if you believed at all that we were going to see Annie and Josh. Right? We thought maybe they would just be walkers or whatever. No, they'd actually show up. We see from a window, Negan is there with his binoculars. He looks down at the boat, and sure enough, we see Annie and a little boy. And he sees them, and then one of the goons is there. I was like, all right, family's there. It's like, I want you to send them back to Tennessee or wherever they came from. It's like, what? You heard me. And he starts cursing and all this stuff. And he's like, you send them away. Okay, now that makes no damn sense. We get for him, for what he thinks he's doing just to protect them and all this stuff. But for Annie, we don't know her situation. We don't know where maybe she was living in a horrible shack somewhere. Things were bad. They were dire. They had no food. And then they find out that, oh, wow, the Croat are bringing us back to Manhattan to reunite with Negan, her husband, the boy's father. He's like, what? I get to see my bio dad? Let's do it. And no, you're going to send him back on the boat. Say, you know what? He changed his mind. He doesn't want you here. That doesn't make any sense. What would have made more sense, because we see that he was having this conflict because of the life and everything that's going on. He could have easily just went down there, saw her, talked to her, spent some time with the boy, and said, listen, things aren't great here right now. We're having problems. There could be a war going on, because Maggie also had told Negan Bruegel's coming with his people to fight, to kill you, take over, that whole shebang. He knows this now. So he could say, hey, how about you go to Governor's Island or go somewhere else, have some of the off-camera goons take them somewhere safe until they get this thing cleared up. Don't just send them off like that and don't even see them. That really bothers me. I hope in the next episode that's not the case, and we do get some kind of interaction with Annie and Josh. What do you think? Or maybe you guys don't care. What do you think? Did this work for you with Negan's reaction?
Oh no, I didn't like it either. So I'm 100% with you on that. I personally think we are going to see them, but see, the thing is this: they're already there. Bruegel is already on his way. I would not be surprised if Bruegel's people get to them and they take them captive, because it doesn't make any kind of sense to have them a part of the show. You see them on the camera, and then that's from a distance. and then nothing comes of that, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So I think we will see them again within the next 2 episodes.
Yeah, I mean, that's a waste if they bring that actress back and it was like, all right, so great, I'm in season. Yeah, you're here. Okay, so let me see my
well, you notice they didn't show her face. It was sort of just like her side.
Yeah,
that's true.
It was the side,
That's
so
true.
it might not even be her. You're right. You're right.
Yeah,
And the boy, it could be anybody because she was pregnant, so it didn't even matter. So you're
That's
right.
a
You know what?
Very good point, Carlos. Yep, I agree.
Yeah, good observation, Carlos. You got the good eye. Good job.
I try. I mean, you guys set me straight with the Popeye stuff, so I
got
gotta
to I'm gonna look out for your tummy. That's don't eat Popeyes too late, people. You don't want to get the tummy aches and the bad dreams. All right. So yeah. So all right. So we're on the same page. That was dumb. But you know what? Now that you bring that up, because I didn't really pay too close of attention to that, and if that's not the actress, then it makes perfect sense why they just did this, because maybe they didn't bring her back. You know what, people? We'll do our homework. Next week I'll take a look. I'll look up throughout the week. I'll take a look, see if I could track down that actress that played Annie and see if she's even listed at all in the credits for I Am Negan. Oh, what am I talking about? I'm Dead City. To see if she's even listed, because if she's not, then that wasn't her, and that explains why he just brushed them off, because it's like, well, we can't bring her back because we're not getting that actress, the same actress back. So, and then for what? Especially if she's not going to have a speaking role or anything. Come on now, that's a waste.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess they did do a pretty decent job of explaining through Negan's discussion with Maggie about, why should he bring her back here, as he's just going to put her back in danger. This is not a safe place. New York, this is like New York in the 80s, not New York in the
Ed Koch era, for those who are my generation, it was pretty bad. The Ed Koch era, it was really bad. There was a lot of crime. The city was bankrupt. It was not a good time. Negan, but yeah, no, it's very bad.
And he's like, yeah, let's send him back to Tennessee. Good.
But here's the thing, though, that conflicts with that. Why didn't he just go? He was telling Croat that, yeah, go. Where would you go? Well, you can leave. You're free. He just freed the historian Pierce. Negan himself is free. Why didn't he just go? So you know what? We got that boat. It's got gas. I'm out. Peace. You guys can handle this, right? No one else knows that Bruegel's coming. They don't know about that. That was just between Maggie and Negan. So he didn't even have to tell anybody. It's like, you know what? You got it. Everything is good. Hold down the fort. Later. That's it. I mean, the show will be over, but
I don't know. Does he want to go back, or maybe he thinks if he leaves, then they know where he is and they'll just go back after him.
I don't know. Well, I mean, it's a big place. Think about it. There's no cell phones. There's no internet. There's no real way of tracking. You're not gonna have a bunch of people posting videos on TikTok and stuff. Look who I saw. It's not happening. So I would think it'd be fairly easy to disappear in this time period here with all the things that have happened. But hey, it is what it is. He blows them off. There goes that. Then we cut back to Marshall, and he's walking around at the museum, and then sure enough we see Bruegel just sitting at the table playing cards, and there we get the name of this episode. It says, hey, sit down, let's play some cards. And it talks about, do you know how to play bridge? It's like, yeah, what's his mom or his grandma taught him, right? That's when Bruegel does the name drop and says Warren Buffett taught him how to play bridge. And as they're going through it, he basically says, do you think Maggie, this is Bruegel, do you think Maggie left? And what's going on with that? Whatever. That's her choice. But you know what your choice is. And then he starts talking about the second wave. And he starts talking about Marshall's family and all that stuff and what he's fighting for. And it's like, oh, how do you think I know all this? And then he walks over, and then we see that we have the Major. His reason and explanation for all this is that he found the Major before she turned. How? Because we saw she was just swarmed with walkers and bit all over. But she decided in her dying breath there to spill the beans about Marshall and just say, hey, this is what's going on. He's got daughters. He's from Babylon. We have a second wave coming. He didn't know about the second wave and all this stuff.
Oh, okay. Here's going to be and Rich is going to be the tiebreaker here. My understanding, and maybe I wasn't paying attention well enough during this scene, but my interpretation was the Major was always a snake. Like she was always telling on them, like since the beginning, even before she was.
Oh, so you think that she was his mole?
Yes,
absolutely. Yep, that's what I got as well, Carlos. Yeah,
interesting.
I doubt that she gave him all that information.
But it's because the way he said I got there just in time for her to open up and talk. That's what he had said before she died. So that's why I was like, oh man, she spilled
but
all
this. We never saw them.
No, we never saw them. You saw her getting attacked by a whole bunch of walkers. So I don't know how he would have had a conversation in the midst of all that. So,
and then if that's the case, she could have brought that up before and be like, you know what? When she was planning on the whole thing of killing Negan, remember the plan was like, oh, Mike, you're gonna go lure him over here, say that everyone's gonna give up, and then the walkers are gonna ambush. She could have easily just said, I have a friend over at the museum. We're gonna go talk to him, and he's gonna help us.
Well, then he's remember. I think I recall this correctly. When he got there to the place, he's like, "It looks like we got here a bit late."
But then he also said that who would have thunk it here? He'd be like, "Oh, so who would have thunk it?" Was like that there was some people here, or something like that. He said to that effect. He was talking about how he searched the castle that's there in the park, and he searched the zoo and all stuff. And he's like, "Oh, what surprise! There's people here in this cafe here." So
yeah, but the Major never knew about that place until they actually got there. So my best guess is that she got into someone to give she somehow gave the information away when she was not seen with anyone else, like when Maggie and them were.
And one other thing I will also add is that we already know that the Major character, she pretty much acted on her own in terms of certain decisions that were made. So while she was working with Budgal, I think that whole decision of deciding to hang them, that clearly was her going rogue because she was going to kill them. So yeah, but of course he got there late because I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have wanted that to be the plan, what she had initially planned to do with Maggie and the rest of them. So that's why she also decided to do that after Maggie challenged her.
Maybe. All right, well, we'll just go with that. But either way, this is all to put pressure on Marshall to help to continue on with this. Why do you need this one guy so bad? It's not like he has control of a whole crew. He doesn't, unless no, it still doesn't make sense. Because then I was like, well, maybe it's because of the second wave that are coming. But then Budgal brings up the fact that, oh well, everyone in New Babylon thinks that you killed Negan, right? That's how he got promoted to that colonel title. But once they get here and they see that he's alive, that's gonna ruin it for you. So you're gonna have a hard time. So you have to help us go in there and kill Negan and everybody, and just to save face. I don't know. Well, we'll see where that goes with all. Because even let's say if that plays out, if he helps out, let's say Negan does die, they take over. This second wave shows up. What happens to Marshall? He definitely wants to go back to New Babylon because he's got his kids. He doesn't want to stay there. So does he just hide somewhere when the second wave shows up and then jumps on the boat and says, all right, you know what? Can I go back? You guys stay here and fight. I want to go home. I don't know. Whatever. There's that. But here's the other question I have is the next scene we see is that night? It's at night, right? Because it was dark out.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming then Annie and Josh did leave because that was early morning. That was daylight when we saw that. So they're gone. They left. They guess they'd be like, oh, fine, Dad doesn't want you. And, my husband is abandoning me again. So they leave then because it's at night and we see Negan walk out. I'm assuming that's the church. And then Jenny's there. She's pointing a gun. And she's shaking and she's looking at him and he's staring at her. And he just walks up, he grabs a gun and then he hugs her. And he's holding her and then he sees the wound again. So again, that the fact that they keep pointing to this is telling me either you said, Carlos, maybe it's just a serious infection or it is some kind of, maybe there was a mixture of some of the walker guts in it enough that it's that type of infection that it's a slow turn and she is going to turn into a walker. What do you think? Because this is it. That was the end scene of him seeing this wound on her, and they emphasized, like, look, he sees it. He sees it. All right. So what? Does he have a doctor?
So I think yes, it could be an infection. We all saw what happened in the previous episode with her, where she got stabbed. It could be some infection that is building up, but what I think they are doing is that obviously when she came there, it was to kill Negan, and then she started to faint. That's why Negan grabbed her and so on and so forth. But here's the thing. I think they did that because Negan saw the infection. He doesn't know whether or not she got bit. So now he's going to wrestle with the fact I may have to put her down. That's the reason why he was concerned. And also because he knows if he saves her, now he has to be concerned that she's going to try to kill him again. So this is some conflict for him to deal with in the next 2 episodes. That's why I think they had him have that look of concern. But for us as viewers, I don't know if she's infected. I just know she never got treated, so she could eventually die from that. But I guess we have to wait and see.
Just put some tussin on it. Remember? They put some tussin. Just rub it in real good. Wrap it up. She'll be good to go.
Peru.
That's it. Viva Peru. Just fix her up. Everything's cool. We don't know if they have a doctor. We don't know if they have penicillin. We don't know if they have any of that stuff. Who knows? Maybe they do. In the next scene, next episode, that pops up, and we see that she's just resting somewhere, getting treated. But hey, people, in the comments, do you care? Would this impact you in any way with this show emotionally if Jenny dies? I for myself, no, it does not. She didn't really do much to the show. I don't find this story arc with her and trying to get this vendetta that she has with Negan because of the father. I'm not buying any of that because he was her caretaker for a while. Remember, that's how she was introduced. So no, I'm not. That again, it doesn't. They're trying to create these moments of tension, and it falls flat. This definitely falls flat. And the whole thing with Herschel and him hating his mom, you were never there for me, and playing that whole act in this time with everything horrible. Pretty much the life is horrible in this time period. Makes no sense that he would just blow her off like this. So I'm not buying it. But anyway, we have 2 episodes left. So let's just give our review numbers right here. I'll say because of the action, because I still like the set design, I'm still enjoying that. I'll give it a 3.8. That's it, 3.8. It's not so much of a 4, only because of the story, and then some of the things that don't add up, like the fact that no one wakes up at the museum. That's bothers me, or that at the church it's just Negan. None of his goons are ever around, and then when they are around, we don't know where they go when they're done working. I don't. I wish we don't have to see it. Just tell us. Someone says, "All right, we're turning in. We're right next door. If you need us, boss." Okay, I'm just gonna stay here for the night. That's all we need. Just some dialogue. 2-3 extra lines closes those up. But no. So that's my score. What about you, Rich?
Well, my score is I'm going to give this episode a 2.75. I think obviously, yes, it was cool to have the bear in there, but it's a lot of the same dialogue between Maggie and Herschel. It is very annoying to have to go through that. I understand this is a rebellious teenager, but clearly this cannot end peacefully where everything goes back to how it was before. They really need to establish this character should not be anywhere around his mom. So either something needs to happen to Herschel, or they just get separated and that's it. And maybe if AMC is thinking long term with The Walking Dead, they can create him as a new villain for whatever future shows they have. That could work, I think. But other than that, I think the show still is lacking some stuff. But I do want to see where they go in the next 2 episodes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Carlos?
I would give this a 3.0 out of 100. No, out of 5. 3 out of 5. I do agree with a lot of the complaints Rich has. yes, the Herschel and Maggie stuff is just annoying. I wish they would just stop. Um, it's the same thing over and over and over again. It's like the broody teenager thing. I get it. It's so annoying. I don't want to see this. Um, the I will say this: the Maggie and Negan stuff has vastly improved the last 2 times they've seen each other. Their dialogues, it's got more substance now. It's like it's not just the I want to kill you and I know what I did and I feel bad, but I can't say anything. It's like no, like these scenes feel like they have more heft to it. Like so I've enjoyed seeing Maggie and Negan, have these discussions. I have no clue what they're gonna do with the Marshal. Uh, he was I don't know where he was. He wasn't with Ginny. He wasn't with Maggie or Herschel. So we'll see what he gets up to. I did enjoy the bear scene, even though yes, however unlikely Herschel was able to aim at the one-eyed Willie of the bear. So I thought that, but overall that scene was pretty good. Yeah, 3 out of 5 is I feel like it's fair.
All right, there we go. I mean, where do we go from here? All right, that's it. So, people, what do you think is going to happen here? Because how can this show just, I don't want to say something harsh, like just redeem itself, but just to make itself relevant, I guess. It's like compared to Daryl season 2, Daryl even season 1, great. Season 2, we get the point A to point B. We see what's happening. The whole thing with Carol over there, and then how that played out with the tunnel and why they had to go to London and all this. It makes sense. All of that starts making sense. They have a goal. What's the goal here? A second wave. They're preparing for a second wave. That's what I'm thinking they're really headed right now. Meaning, yeah, we see all the conflicts and stuff with Herschel. We don't care about that. But now that we know that there's a second wave coming from New Babylon, I'm assuming that is the end goal for the final episode. There is going to be a fight because they keep talking about building this army for the second wave. We have to defend for the second wave. Okay, so when this happens, I'm expecting an all-out war to take place. That's the only thing. And then that should be amazing. We should see all kinds of stuff, and maybe they can throw some surprises. Maybe we could see, and I think I brought it up before, maybe Aaron or some other cast members from Mother's Ship show up, because as we know, they were pretty much forced to drafting people from other groups to join this wave, join this army to go after Manhattan so they can get the methane. That's one of the things that Major was doing in the first episode of this season. So that I'm just thinking, what are they going to show us to just leave a memorable moment in our heads of like, man, that was amazing. Because if it's just, wow, did you see how Herschel got nasty with his mom and left? Oh boy, couldn't see that coming. That's not enough. I don't care. Sorry, don't care. But yeah, there you go, everybody. That was our coverage for episode 6, season 2 of Dead City. We will be back for 7, and as you know, there is an 8th. So this is a little longer than the first season. We're only 6 episodes. We got 2 more episodes left. So again, please like, subscribe, go ahead and comment. What do you think is going to happen here? And how do you feel about this spinoff? Do you think there's going to be a season 3? If not, what do you want to see from other spinoffs? Because they've already openly said, AMC, they have other ideas in a pipeline. So we'll see. All right, everybody. Have a good weekend and later. Well, I should say week because it comes out on a Sunday. So have a good week, everybody. Peace.
Peace.